Imagine someone hands you a document that says, "I promise to pay you $1,000. Sounds simple. Sounds unconditional. But what if hidden elsewhere, another document changes everything? What if payment depends on another agreement, another contract, another condition? Is it still considered a negotiable instrument? The answer lies inside one of the most important sections of the Uniform Commercial Code, Section 3-106. Negotiable instruments are designed to move easily from person to person. Banks, businesses, investors, all need confidence that the promise to pay can be understood by reading the instrument itself. If every payment depended on reading dozens of outside contracts, negotiability would disappear. Subsection A begins with the basic rule. A promise or order is considered unconditional, unless it does one of three things. First, it makes payment subject to an express condition. Second, it says the promise is governed by another document. Third, it tells you that the rights or obligations are contained somewhere else. If any of those appear, the promise may no longer qualify as unconditional. Subsection B explains something many people misunderstand. The instrument may refer to collateral. It may explain prepayment rights. It may discuss acceleration, meaning the entire balance becomes due after default. None of these references make the promise conditional. The UCC also says payment can come from one specific fund, without making the promise conditional. In other words, limiting where payment comes from is not the same as placing conditions on whether payment must occur. Some financial instruments require two signatures, perhaps one from the issuer and another from an authorized officer. Does requiring that second signature make the instrument conditional? Surprisingly, no. What happens if the second signature never appears? The issuer may have a legal defense against payment, but the document can still be transferred, and the recipient may still become a lawful holder. Ownership and enforceability are two separate legal questions. Subsection D addresses notices required by law. Sometimes, statutes require documents to state that future holders remain subject to certain defenses the original buyer could raise. That legally required notice does not make the promise conditional. The instrument remains negotiable. However, there's one important consequence. If that statutory notice appears, no future holder can qualify as a holder in due course. This rule protects consumers from losing important legal rights simply because the paper changed hands. In plain English, a promise stays unconditional unless payment actually depends upon another agreement, another document, or another condition. Legally required consumer notices preserve important defenses, while preventing anyone from becoming a holder in due course. UCC Section 3-106 isn't about making negotiable instruments complicated. It's about keeping them predictable.